Welcome to the Legionary. All right, today we're going to be talking about the Pila Fossata. As you may be aware, in my announcement video, a discovery was made in 2019 on a dig in Bloskopf in Bad Ems, which is in Germany, in a ditch. So they dug down into the ground. They found a defensive ditch that was predominantly sort of wet clay soil. And in that ditch, in the bottom of that ditch, were a row of defensive spikes, so like a hearse in a crisscross fashion along the bottom. They've been obviously dug into the ground. On top of that, there was a layer of burn. There was a burn layer, which is often happens when, say, the Romans tear down fortifications. They set fire to them and then leave them, preserving the Pila Fossata in wet clay soil, which is great because it's anaerobic. Anaerobic means that there's no oxygen getting to it, and so therefore the process of decay doesn't occur. Well, it occurs, but over a longer period. They appear to be oak in origin, which oak is great because it's a very resilient wood if it's waterlogged and then removed, and in the absence of oxygen again, it doesn't break down. So it's a great wood for that, like a lot of hardwoods. These stakes are about 60 centimetres long, so I'm holding out my hands. It doesn't mean anything to you really. Average 60 centimetres long. How did I come to find out about this? Well, I just happened to be perusing online, looking for information, as I do on Romans, and I came across this white paper that had been published by the archaeologists that did the dig. There's 5 of them in total, so I should actually cite their names, because obviously these guys put in a lot of hard work, and it wouldn't be remiss of me not to mention them. So Frederick Ott appears to be the leader, and then we've got Daniel Berger Volmek, we've got Peter Heinrich, Marcus Schultz, and Marcus Wittkopper. If I've massacred your names, you'll have to forgive me. Not a native German speaker, I'm afraid. So on that dig, they were able to find these stakes. So what are we going to do today on the Legionary? Well, we are going to try and recreate one of these stakes using wood recently harvested. So I was able to rescue after the local département d'équipement, which is like a local council, or they maintain all the roads around here, etc. And they they were cutting back some trees from the road that were overhanging, and I was able to recover the wood. So using that wood, we're going to be able to recreate one of these stakes. Now, to do this, we're going to try and use methods that were used back in Roman times, and some of the tools as well that the Romans would have had access to and would have used. Now, I'll have to caveat the tool thing with the fact that I haven't got reproductions of Roman tools. It is a goal of mine to get some. I'm looking high and low for them, like faithful reproductions, everything from planes to axes to chisels. So all I can do is, being a fan of green woodworking and old hand tools, I have a collection of my own, which I'm going to use to recreate the Pila Fossata. Let's get on to the actual tools themselves. So here I've got a saw, a frame saw. The Romans would have had access to one of these. Frame saw is just made up of 3 pieces of wood, a blade, and then a tensioning string or wire here. In this case it's a string. This is just a vintage saw that I picked up at a flea market. You find these pretty much every time I go to a flea market. There's one of these knocking around. Depending on the condition, I'll pick it up or not. So yeah, this one's ideal, mid-size. There are images of frame saws like this on frescoes. There's a particular one in Pompeii, in a villa, and it depicts 2 cherubs using a frame saw, if I remember rightly. So that's my historic reference. Then we've got a knife. Okay, I've just got just a sheath knife This is a particular knife I use all the time for gardening and woodworking, paring stuff down. So obviously a knife, which Romans had access to. Here we've got the Delobra. Delobra is a Roman entrenching tool. So they would use this for digging up, cutting down trees, digging up roots, digging ditches, so on and so forth. It's sort of somewhere between an axe and a pickaxe. So yeah, this is a really good tool. You'd use this for cutting down the trees. And then here we've got a hatchet, just a hand axe here, very basic. Romans had access to axes. If you ever get the chance to visit the Roman Museum in Coimbra, which is in Portugal, they do have a great little selection of Roman hand tools, if I remember rightly. I spent a lot of time just staring at the cabinet that was full of woodworking tools, and it's well worth a visit. But that's tools. That's what we're going to be using for actually bucking the wood down to size and then making the stakes. So without any further ado, we'll go and grab the wood and get working on it. So we've got a nice offcut here of ash. Got a bit of ivy on it, and we're just going to buck it. So we're going to cut off this limb down here, and then we'll end up with a more or less straight log that's 64 to 65 centimeters in length, which is exactly what we want. That's the average length of the stakes that they found. So let's get down here and just cut that off there. There we go. It's cutting well. So we just got, the idea is just to limb this. So there we have it. Fairly unorthodox use of the Delobra. It's probably easier to actually lay it on the ground and then work with it sort of between your legs or to one side. But anyway, we've got it down to what we want. So we've bucked this. We've got the branches that we don't need. We can obviously use this later on for something else. So don't waste anything. The Romans certainly didn't. When it came to harvesting wood, the Romans used coppicing, which is where you can cut a tree down to about a third of its length and harvest all the branches and then let it regrow. And over the next 3 to 4 years, you can harvest it, or within a sort of a 3 to 4 year period, you can harvest it again. So yeah, the Romans definitely had perfected techniques such as coppicing. But yeah, there we go. That is our 64 to 65 centimetre length of ash that we're going to use. Next we're going to split it. If you can see here, we're going to split it here into quarters, and one of those quarters should be roughly the size of the staff, which will be about, the stake, which will be about 4 to 5 centimetres in diameter. So yeah, once we've quartered this, we can then use each of those quarters to make a stake.